Are you busy from morning to night and yet you still feel behind? There was a season when I was doing everything that I could think of and our home still felt hard to manage. In this video, I'll show you the simple weekly rhythm that changed that so that you can know what to focus on each day, your home feels more under control, and you can end each day knowing that what mattered actually got done. So here's what would happen before I discovered this framework. I literally had decision fatigue every day before I even finished my coffee. I would be thinking, should I start laundry? Should I prep dinner? Do I move the meat? Is the bathroom gross enough to clean today? What about that junk drawer that I keep putting off? Hundreds of these micro decisions every single day creates an endless to-do list that just weighs on our mind. And when we run the home this way, we can never truly rest because we never know when we're actually done. And that is actually really rough on a homemaker. Making decisions all day, being yanked around by an ever-growing to-do list, it leads to burnout and brain fog. The real problem here, at least most of the time, is not laziness or a lack of discipline. It's that we are reacting to what's loudest or feels the most pressing rather than just simply following a path. In other words, the home is running us instead of us running the home. Personally, I was treating my home like it was some project to finish instead of realizing that it was simply a rhythm to maintain, which led to a lot of frustration. There is a verse in Proverbs that completely changed how I think about this. Proverbs 6 tells us to go to the ant, consider her ways, and be wise. The ant, I know I've talked about this before, but the ant does not wake up wondering what to do. She follows the same path every single day, works steadily, and stores up faithfully. She has a path or a rhythm. On the other hand, the hamster wheel, the one that so many of us find ourselves on, spins with a lot of energy and effort, but it goes nowhere. The ant's path actually leads somewhere. And here's what that means for you and I. When we have a path to follow instead of decisions that we're repeatedly making all day, every day, there is a weight that's lifted and a burden of decision fatigue starts to fade away. In other words, the ant's path is the cure for decision fatigue. But this isn't just a productivity trick, it's how homemaking was simply designed to work from the beginning. Scripture gives us the foundation in Proverbs 14:1. It says, "The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish tears it down with their own hands." We are not just checking boxes here. We are building a home with wisdom for the glory of God and faithfully stewarding what He's entrusted to us. And God designed homemaking to work in rhythms. They are not just linear projects. So just as He created the world with seasons, He created a sunrise and a sunset and harvest cycles that happen repeatedly every single year, the home operates the same way. Meals happen daily. Clothes are worn and need washing. Relationships need regular tending. The work comes back around. And this is not brokenness. It is a beautiful and wise part of God's design. So homemaking really works best when we don't fight this, but we embrace it. In other words, the most helpful shift here is moving from linear thinking, like finish the list, to cyclical thinking, tend the rhythm. And if you want help figuring out which rhythms would actually work for your home and your season, my free masterclass walks you through it step by step. You can grab that down below. So if homemaking is cyclical by design, then our schedules ought to be too. At least it works really well that way. And that's where the theme day framework comes in. It's how we take that biblical rhythm, or just working with the grain of God's creation, and we actually put feet to it on a Tuesday morning. So instead of trying to do everything every single day, the idea here is that you assign different household needs to different days. That's the entire concept. It's definitely not rocket science, but it is revolutionary when you take the time to really comb through what your home needs, make those decisions ahead of time, and then lean into these rhythms. It made a world of difference for me. So for example, if Friday is errands day, you simply batch together different errands and have one focused trip instead of constant interruptions all week long that make it hard to get into a rhythm. Or if Thursday is cleaning day, the bathroom might get a little worse throughout the week, but you don't really worry about it because you know it's going to get handled on Thursday. Here is the real benefit. You are freeing your brain to focus on one type of work instead of jumping between unrelated tasks. And that kind of focus not only is just simply more effective, but it also removes the guilt. When a task is not assigned to a day, there's permission to just walk past it without that nagging feeling that you're not doing enough. You know when things are going to be taken care of. You've been very intentional about making those decisions, and there is a place in the week for it. It's very freeing, and it lets you be present and more focused. The beauty of this kind of framework is that it's not a formula. Some things might be more standard among a lot of women, like a deep cleaning day, but in reality, this really is something that you can customize to fit your family's needs. You choose the themes that actually move the needle in your home. Maybe you need a dedicated office day for homeschool planning and making appointments. Maybe you need a kitchen day to do some meal prep. The framework of theme days stays the same, but the themes bend to fit your season and your family. Ultimately, the super helpful mental shift that you're making here is this: you are not abandoning tasks. You are giving them a proper home in your week. By the way, if we haven't met yet, I'm Lauren. I'm a homeschooling mom of 6, and this channel is all about building fruitful, life-giving homes through simple, God-honoring rhythms. And this video is actually the first in a weekly series where I'm breaking down the theme day framework step by step. In the coming weeks, we're going to walk through specific days like how to structure your errands day, or what a realistic cleaning day can look like, and how to tackle office day without drowning in a bunch of tasks. If you want to get the full framework, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss any part of this series. Now, I know this might sound like a lot when you look at a full week of theme days and getting started on that, but here's the thing. You don't have to build or implement all of this at once, and I actually don't recommend that you do. There is a simple but a specific order that helps to make this stick, and if you skip the first step, the whole thing can kind of fall apart. So let me walk you through exactly how to build this without overwhelming yourself. The first thing to do is to pick the area of your home that is draining you the most right now, or in other words, your biggest pain point. That's where I would recommend that you start. Once you've identified that pain point, you simply assign it to a dedicated day in your week. Now, here is the practical part that makes this actually work. For that theme day, create a simple list in a notebook or your planner, whatever works for you. Just create a list of common tasks that are related to that theme that you have to do regularly. Think of it as your theme day menu. I have mine in my home management binder, and it stays there for me to reference. By the way, on the note of home management binder, just really quick, several of you have reached out and asked if I would be willing to sell my binder, my templates, apart from my course. And while I've had a hard time knowing how to do that, because it's a huge part of my course where I'm guiding people through building their systems and their binder, and it's just a big part of building the home management system in that course, I have figured out a way to make a lighter version of it, and I'm going to make that available here soon. We're working on it. It actually might be a few weeks out. I'm not totally sure, but I've heard you, and we are working on that, and I will announce that to the email list if you're on it when it's available. So keep an eye out and stay tuned. I did want to let you know about that while we're on the subject. But anyway, we were talking about the theme day menu. On that day, you are not going to tackle everything on the menu. Instead, you glance at it and pick 1 or 2 things to focus on for the day. And then you can check your rolling master's to-do list, all those random one-off tasks that creep up and that everybody has to do. And if anything applies to today's theme, you add it to your short list for the day. I would definitely encourage you to prioritize only 1 to 3 tasks, depending on the season that you're in. If you're postpartum, make it 1. Be easy on yourself. And then anything beyond that is a bonus. Whatever you don't get to on your menu or your to-do list, it just rolls over to the next week, no problem. So once that first theme day is working, that's when you start layering. You can add 1 or 2 more theme days. The goal is to build toward a full 6-day rhythm, Monday through Saturday, with a day or 2 to sharpen the saw, which I'm going to get to in another video. Ultimately, once this rhythm is set, your home keeps running even during hard seasons. When you're sick for 3 days, you don't really panic. You know that the rhythms are going to come back around the next week. That is the power of homemaking on cruise control. You are building a system that does not depend on your energy levels or your ability to make decisions on a given day. It's not depending on that to function. The beauty is that you are not thinking all the time and spinning your wheels about what needs to happen anymore. You wake up each day simply stepping into the rhythm that you have intentionally and thoughtfully designed. This is massively helpful for moms who have to juggle so much in the home. And like I said, when life throws you a curveball, because it will, the system doesn't collapse. When you're ready, it is right there for you to step back into. So imagine with me for a minute closing your kitchen at the end of the night and actually feeling good about the day instead of constantly behind. And just think, you could wake up every single day knowing exactly what the day is for, which really frees you to be fully present for it. That is what happens when your home runs on rhythms instead of being driven by whatever's loud or whatever feels urgent. And don't forget to grab that free masterclass below to start building rhythms that fit your home. If this was helpful, subscribe for the rest of the series. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you in the next one.